Hey, it's Jack from Jack 8 Lee Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. All right, so we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about a debate. It's an election year, right? So we have a debate about real estate commissions coming up. We're going to talk about that. Google, Facebook, X are all getting into the real estate business. Yes, so we're going to talk about that. And also, we have a lot of economic news that has about to come out or that has recently come out, and we're going to cover that. But first, let's get to the debate. You may or may not be aware of this, but on Friday, Housing Wire is going to be having a debate. You can attend. It's like a virtual thing. They're calling it the Commission Lawsuit Debate, Housing Wire. It is, from what I understand, free to attend. You have to fill out a little form and apply to attend the webinar. It is going to feature Michael Ketchmark. Who's the lead attorney for the plaintiffs in the Bombshell Commission lawsuit that was victorious back in, October, right? Anthony Lamacchia here from beautiful Massachusetts. He's been one of the most outspoken people for the realtor cause, and it's going to be moderated by Sarah Wheeler, editor-in-chief of Housing Wire. The link to this event is in the description of this video. You have to click on that link, and you can get the webinar invite or whatever it is. So many in the real estate leaders think their profession was unfairly maligned during the trial, and that lead plaintiff's attorney, Michael Ketchmark, weaponized misconceptions about the real estate industry to get the verdict. So you kind of get an idea of where Housing Wire is coming on this thing here a little bit. So that's how they're looking at it from their perspective. So I'm going to definitely be attending this. Looking forward to this event on Friday, 1 o'clock. I would strongly recommend. If you're not familiar with the backstory here, this event, debate, joint appearance, or whatever you want to call it, was supposed to actually occur back at Inman Connect. I think it was supposed to be this week at Inman Connect. And let's just bring up a little backstory from my talk about this just about a month ago. Michael Ketchmark, the attorney for the Stitzer plaintiffs, had been uninvited, disinvited, withdrew, depending upon whose version of events you want to believe. And so there was this set up. This event, this joint appearance debate was already set up between Lamacchia and Ketchmark at Inman Connect, New York. But Brad Inman got so much pushback from the attendees of Inman Connect, New York, that he basically pulled the plug on the whole thing. So Brad chickened out and basically disinvited him. Now, they didn't really announce it like that, but they basically announced it like that. Like, our attendees are not going to like that. And Anthony Lamacchia, to his credit, also commented on this whole controversy with Inman Connect. Here he is here back about a month ago.
And guess what, folks? To Michael's credit, he is too. That's another reason he called. He said, listen, I just want you to know, I will debate you on any stage, anywhere. Was he trying to get on Crush It in Real Estate? I don't know. Maybe, but he's not getting on Crush It in Real Estate. I'm not putting him on any of my platforms that I own because I don't think he's...
Yet he is going to debate him on Housing Wire this Friday.
Deserving of that. He's trying to take down our industry. Okay.
Is he?
This is someone that thinks we should be on the Australian system, which provides people no help. And I'm going to go over something about that in a little while about Australia. So he will be on none of my platforms, but he said he'll do it on any platform. And then I said, well, why did you bail on Inman? And he said, well, Anthony, I wouldn't exactly say I bailed. And then he had his side of the story.
All right. So anyways, this been a little controversy, whether he was uninvited or decided not to go, whatever you want to call it. Basically, Brad Inman caved and didn't have him on because as the attendees of Inman Connect didn't want him. So it is now going to be at Housing Wire this Friday, virtual event. So basically everyone can go. Click the link in the description. I'm excited to have that be happening on Friday. And credit to both gentlemen, Mr. Ketchmark and Mr. Lamacchia, for making that happen. By the way, also, I'll do credit to Mr. Lamacchia. He is having a big event in Boston in about a week and a half or so. It's called Crush It in Real Estate. And one of the biggest speakers at the event will be the National Association new president, Mr. Sears. Of course, Mr. Sears is from Massachusetts, so I imagine they probably already knew each other. Mr. Sears is from Springfield, Mass., and Lamacchia is from Waltham, I think, different ends of the state, but they probably already knew each other. And Mr. Lamacchia has now basically secured Mr. Sears as one of the biggest speakers at the Crush It in Real Estate event, which is, I believe, February 1st in downtown Boston. So good for him. Great nab on that. Good job. All right. And I think I will go to that, or at least I'll try to. Hampton landlord faces federal indictment for harassing African-American tenants and defrauding the government, DOJ says. Oh, my God. Listen to this story. Here, let's pull it back. Here we go. Here.
His tenants.
A federal grand jury returned an indictment against David Merriman, who owns more than 60 properties on the peninsula. Sarah Hammond joins us in the studio now.
So that's Hampton, Virginia.
With the details, which we have to warn might be disturbing to some of our viewers. Sarah.
Well, in this indictment, the Department of Justice alleges David Merriman attacked his tenants with tire irons, shovels, and chainsaws. He repeatedly used the N-word and even threatened to kill some of them. In this 51-page federal indictment, a Hampton landlord is accused of fraud, threats, and civil rights violations. 58-year-old David Merriman owns more than 60 properties on the peninsula, renting primarily to low-income African-Americans susceptible to homelessness.
This guy is so screwed, allegedly, right?
The indictment returned by a federal grand jury outlines the alleged racist and threatening comments to tenants. We spoke to Joseph Robertson back in 2021, who lived in one of Merriman's homes.
What do you think the odds are? Does anybody have a guess of what are the odds that federal prosecutors convict you once they charge you with the crime? What are the odds? It's like 90% or some crazy thing. Yeah. When they charge you, you're gonna be guilty. It's very hard to win a criminal case as a defendant against the federal government.
When former Attorney General Mark Herring filed a lawsuit against the landlord, he claimed Merriman repeatedly called him the N-word and harassed him.
Different threats, different racist slurs, one thing after another, There's always something with him.
Something the federal prosecutors allege is a pattern. They say Merriman hit a tenant in the face with a shovel and attacked another with the blade of a chainsaw while it was off. The indictment goes on to
attacking his tenant.
Oh, sorry. Somehow we went back to the front of the story here. Hold on a second. Let me fast forward there. Those should have been like local charges. Like if you're assaulting someone with a shovel or a chainsaw, that should have been a local charge. I don't know why it wasn't to begin with.
Blade of a chainsaw while it was off. The indictment goes on to allege he told one tenant to, quote, clean the house like when you were slaves, even threatening to kill some of them, according to prosecutors. The indictment goes on to say from around 2015, Merriman defrauded his tenants out of money by renting rundown homes and making false promises to fix the problems. Problems like rotten floors, leaking sewage, mold, and rat infestations. The document also alleges Merriman forged his tenants' signatures and lied about the state of the homes to receive rent relief and housing assistance benefits that he was not entitled.
All right. So you may have heard me before defend people that own property because, there's a lot of sentiment out there that if you own a rental property, you're half a criminal already, right? How dare you invest in rental property? How dare you fix it up and provide a product that is wanted in the marketplace? At least here in Massachusetts, like you're literally half a criminal for owning, a three-family, right? Literally. But this, I'm joking, obviously. But this is horrific, right? There are some people that are, this is disgusting. Allegedly, of course, he's going to have his day in court.
Entitled to. They say he obtained a significant sum of rent relief without telling the tenants, all while evicting them for unpaid rent. Now, this is not...
Did I get that right? So he got some like pandemic relief money that was supposed to go to their rent, and then he didn't credit them. Oh, my
Merriman's first controversy. In May of 2022, U.S. Marshals arrested him for allegedly failing to pay his employees of his landscaping company thousands of dollars. And as I mentioned, in October of 2021, the Virginia Attorney General's office sued Merriman for systemic housing discrimination, alleging, quote, horrific.
All right, so he's been on their radar screen for quite some time. Yeah, there's some really awful. We've probably met them. Have you met a landlord that you were like, oh, I like renting your apartments because I like the money that I make, but like I had this happen with me once. I had a landlord that had kind of tried to chisel money out of me from my commissions after I found him qualified tenants. And I had started to notice any number of other things that were happening with this property. And finally, he called me up one day and he said, Jack, I want you to list this property, where I had listed apartments in this property before. And I finally said to him, Ed was his name. I fired him basically as my client. And I feel good about it. And I always felt good about it because I didn't want to represent him anymore because he didn't deserve me. And not that I'm encouraging you to fire your clients, but every once in a while, you remember your license is not worth that one client. If that one client is going to get you in trouble, or heaven forbid, you lose your license because of him or her, then it's better off to fire them and just say, go find somebody else or rent it on your own or whatever. So eventually I just said, Ed, I can't work for you anymore. Thanks. Have a nice day. And and my conscience is totally clear. And and if I was this guy, Mr. Perryman, was that his name, in Virginia, I think I would have kicked him to the curb as a client as well. You got to be careful out there, especially in the rental business. I find this much more in the rental business. It's much easier to get sued. Many of you might know this. It's much easier to get sued in the rental business. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about we were doing some strategery about a particular topic. And I said, remember, as the broker at Jack Gately Real Estate here in Massachusetts, as the broker, my number one job basically is to make sure that we don't get sued, which we never have been. Don't get any ideas. But that's basically my job, is compliance, right? Make sure my agents are doing the right thing. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. My agents are doing the right thing, so that we don't get in trouble. And, there's 90 different ways to get in trouble, but that's basically your broker's job and your job too, if you're a rank and file agent. All right. Inman did a story yesterday, which I thought was kind of funny. And they dug into the social media profiles of the plaintiff in this brand new California lawsuit. And I can't, I'm sure I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name. Gail Fierro, is that it's French. And so apparently he's a French national, and he came to America and he started a bakery. And of course, since he lives in Los Angeles, he is also a movie producer, because everybody in Los Angeles is a movie producer. This is the trailer for his Amazon Prime movie called I Love America. No word yet if Eddie Murphy is going to sue for the rights, because didn't he make a movie like this, Coming to America? Right, something like that. Here it is here.
Et il y a ceux qui, comme moi, décident de le faire.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lui, c'est mon meilleur ami.
It's in French. Anyways, so you can go read that article if you want. He is a movie producer, because, of course, everybody in Los Angeles is a movie producer. All right, so more interesting, more serious story. I just thought that was funny. I just throw it in there. Meta and Google are the next big landlords. Big tech corporations are planning massive real estate projects, but not everyone is convinced it's a good idea. This story out of Credit News. Yeah, so this is really interesting. After conquering the digital realm, America's big tech is plotting colossal real estate projects that could home thousands of people in retail stores in the physical world. Whatever happened to that meta world that Mark was working on? Google parent Alphabet is in the process of building a massive 153-acre neighborhood near its Mountain View headquarters in California. 7,000 homes and 300,000 square feet of retail. Meanwhile, Facebook recently approved a 58-acre housing project dubbed Zucktown. It's literally called Zucktown? No way. 1,700 residential units, hotel, offices, retail space, not far from the meta. So what they're realizing is this is kind of like a Back to the Future story, really, because if you're from part of the country like I am here in Plymouth, let's just take Plymouth, for instance. At one time, the biggest employer in Plymouth was this company. It was called the Cordage Company, and we made rope. Here in Plymouth, we were the rope capital of the world at one point, and rope was used to sail, to navigate the globe. That's how everything moved, by ship, right? And in the town, part of the town where this factory was, massive rope factory, the Cordage Company built homes, factory homes. So you might see this in different parts of the country, but this is kind of like a Back of the Future thing. And the second I heard this story, it was like I was reminded of that famous Tennessee Ernie Ford song, I owe my soul to the company store. So you'll work at Google. You'll be a well-fed, kept in the dark mushroom at Google, writing your code, and then you'll also live in the Google house. Yeah, what could go wrong? So, yeah, what could go wrong? So, I don't know if I would choose that for myself, but, yeah, I don't know if I would choose that for myself. But it is kind of like an interesting thing. They're going to build the factory or the campus where they do all the software development, and then you're going to live in the house that they build for you. Little bit of a flashback there. Just what I'm saying. I would rather be a little bit more bifurcated. Just, not have all my eggs in one basket, right? As I think 16 Tons, I think, is the name of the song. If you haven't heard, I'm sure you've heard it at some point. It's an American classic. Go Spotify it or something. Well, not now because you're watching this show, but later. So over the weekend, since we're talking about owners of a lot of real estate, over the weekend I did a video about Blackstone, and they just acquired Tricon. And Tricon owns 38,000 single-family rental homes in the United States. And, of course, that sounds like a lot of homes until you realize there's actually like 8 million single-family homes in the United States. So it's a drop in the bucket. So I was really happy when I stumbled upon this video this morning supporting. Of course, it was supporting my viewpoint that I made in the video over the weekend. So, of course, it must be right. Let's pull it up here. This is Rick Palacios, and he is retweeting a video from Kayla Scanlon, who I'm sure you might know. And so he says, contrary to headline, institutional investors aren't a big deal in the majority of housing markets. Smaller investor groups, along with mom and pop landlords, really drive this segment of housing, which is exactly true. Even though it sounds scary, Blackstone buys 38,000 homes. It's a drop in the bucket. It might be a little bit more than a drop in the bucket in Atlanta, where they own a lot. But other than that, it's a drop in the bucket because 2/3 of the single family rental market is dominated by mom and pop owners who own like one or two homes. That's it. Probably some of you may be watching and or your clients. So here's a quick summary, a teaser, so to speak, from Kaylee Kyla Scanlon.
Is that we are in a housing crisis, and there's a lot of questions about why it exists. Is it because of rich parents hoarding the homes for their kids? Is it because people are trying to buy a second home so they can watch college football? Is it because zoning laws are too restrictive? Is it because of things like NIMBYism, not in my backyard, a group of people who think that the sun revolves around them and them alone, and they want their house to be worth $1 million when they die, so they prevent all new development? Or is it because
That's definitely a factor. People don't want any new development so they can keep the value of their house high. That's definitely a factor in Massachusetts.
because of Wall Street investors?
Wall Street
Prices
investors.
rose 40% from the start of the pandemic.
Wall Street landlords.
Wall Street landlords.
Street landlords.
Who did you exploit today?
Who did I exploit?
Who did you exploit today? That's a great one. I think this guy is getting exploited by her.
I don't think I did yet.
But are you?
Yeah, probably sometime today.
Wall Street.
Not so much. Not so much. Remember, when you input your money in the bank, where does it go? It basically goes to Wall Street, and Wall Street's theoretically supposed to be making money for you, right? That's what your 401k is all about. All right, so I haven't watched the full video, the full interview with those two on YouTube, but I will. But since they agreed with me, I totally wanted to feature them because this whole atmosphere where investors are bad, right? I'm sick of that. Investors are good. I'm old enough to remember when there were plenty of markets that would die for somebody to fix up that crappy old house down the street, make it nice, and either live in it or rent it out, right? I'm old enough to remember when a lot of places were decrepit, and now I drive by and they're nice again. So investors are good. Keep doing what you're doing. You're providing a service in the marketplace. God bless you. Thank you for doing it. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. Today, we don't have a lot on the calendar today, but later this week, as we scroll down all these announcements here, Thursday, we have durable goods and GDP growth. Very, very important. Also on Thursday, we have initial jobless claims and something. New home sales on Thursday. So we're going to be very busy with the calendar on Thursday. And we do have a number of auctions, including the 7-year auction, which I think will probably be the most interesting on Thursday. New building permits come out Thursday. And then on Friday, we have PCE. PCE comes out on Friday, plus pending home sales also on Friday. So we have a busy calendar later in the week. I have noticed, I don't know if you've taken note of this, but I have noticed that the expectations for a Fed rate cut in March have declined significantly. So just stepping back, of course, hardly anybody believes there's going to be a rate cut in January, which is next week. Nobody really believes that. 97% believe it's going to be the same. No rate cut for January. And this number here for the March number is now 56% believe no cut. So the majority believe no cut for March. And I'm pretty sure that's a reversal in the market. Let's take a quick look at May. I don't want to get in May, they are thinking a cut of either 25 or maybe even up to 50 basis points. So they still think there's a cut coming by May, at least. That's the expectation. If you haven't looked at the 30-year mortgage right now, it's been hovering just about 6.9. Yesterday it closed at 6.87. I think I noticed the spread was a little bit higher. I think it went up to about 277 points. It had been down to the low 270s. There has been significant talk of having the spread be a little bit lower, but it hasn't moved a heck of a lot on that spread yet. What are we looking for where'd my 10-year quote go? Here it is here. The 10-year is up on the day, if I'm not mistaken. Persistently above the 4 number now, I think for several days for sure. So keep an eye on that. What do we have here from Zero Hedge? We had leading economic indicators slump continues. It was down just a touch. I think this is more important. This DR Horton stock slumps as earnings miss, revenues beat. So this just came over the wire, and I haven't delved into this, but DR Horton, a huge home builder, I'm shocked that they missed on earnings. So they beat on revenue, but missed on earnings. Maybe they had some type of unexpected expenses or something. But home builders are supposed to be filling the gap. You would think that they would be making boatloads of money. So I think that deserves a little bit more exploration from again, this story just broke this morning from Barron's. By the way, I gave an interview to Barron's about a month, almost 2 weeks ago or something, and they haven't published the story. So if they do publish the story, I'll let you know. I did get my first YouTube check of all time. Yeah, there it is there, $137. Thank you so much for watching. I will not quit my day job. And this is my earnings over like 3 months. So I didn't have the deposit thing connected, so they would have written me a check earlier or auto direct deposited it earlier, but I didn't have the thing. You know what? The thing. I didn't have it connected, but I did make $137 over 3 months. So yeah, let's go out and party, Gar. Yeah. So I'm not doing this for the money, obviously. Next up, and we have Compass CEO Robert Refkin spoke to CNBC yesterday, incredibly optimistic about
lots of guys want to perform better in bed.
Okay, forget it. Incredibly optimistic interview. Incredibly optimistic. He's saying that his people were working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Eve, and that buyers are coming out of the woodwork. I thought it was to the point that it strained the credibility of Mr. Refkin, because like I just don't think that it's that busy on Christmas Day. He was like, my agents are working Christmas Day. They're calling me. I spoke to 1,000 agents in the last month, and everyone is just against the wall. You know the phrase. And it's crazy. I'm sick of people in the real estate business. Ever get a hold of a real estate agent and they tell you, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. Because that's what they say to everybody. Meanwhile, they're sitting in their car like crying, right? Because there's nobody to talk to, right? I'm sick of that type of hype. Just be realistic with yourself and with your clients. All right, let's see if we have any thank you, Sharon, for $137. Hey, that's a tank of gas or two, I guess, right? For the Bronco. Sure it is. Yeah, why not? We'll gas up the Bronco with that. By the way, folks, I will be going to Florida, beautiful Florida, next month. And I'm looking to make some real estate videos when I'm down there. Until then, if you have any good topics, let me know. Until then, you have a great day. Go make some money. Bye-bye.